Good evening. Thank you all for coming Friday evening on a lovely day at last. I can't think of a more suitable way to observe the end of the school week of Earth Week than for us to gather together to watch this film. I want to first thank all the people who've made Director Kamanaka's visit possible today. The Center for Japanese Study, the Committee for Japanese Studies, the Human Rights Program, and the Council of International Studies have been stalwart supporters. But we have special collaborators tonight, the Environmental Studies Program, Rockefeller Chapel, the Committee on Cinema and Media Studies. And I'm really delighted to say that we can actually reach northward across the city to DePaul University. And, you know, my very heartfelt thanks to colleagues at DePaul for making it possible to invite Ms. Kamanaka tonight. Ms. Kamanaka is since 2003, she's an associate professor in the Media Studies program at the Tokyo University of Science and Technology. She's someone who seems to have, she's a self-trained filmmaker. She said she was someone interested in exploration as a young person, and she thought filming would be a great way to keep track of her adventures. And she spent time in Canada with the National Film Board in New York in very different circumstances. She has made television films with sort of the powerhouse in Japan, NHK, the National Broadcasting Corporation, of films such as Children and the Iraq War, and a very, I think, innovative program that I'm dying to see. There is apparently an English version of the German writer Michael Ende's Legacy, which is really asking us to think about how we would go on living if we got rid of money, overcame money. So that's Michael Ende's Legacy. Another film called Living Through Cancer. The film through which I got to know her was the 2003 Hibakusha at the End of the World, which many of you may have seen in this audience. Hibakusha, of course, means radiation victims, and it used to be a word referring exclusively to the Japanese survivors and those who died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki of the atomic bombs. But in this film, she connects those who have been exposed to radiation in Iraq from depleted uranium in the Gulf War, Hanford, Washington State, with the plutonium plant production during the war. Hanford is the place where the Nagasaki bomb was created, and as well as the people in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. It's really quite an extraordinary film that rewrites our understanding of radiation, nuclear technology in our world. And the film we'll have today, Rokkashomura Rhapsody, her producer had said that this is a film just about a local place in Japan. It's not going to be of interest elsewhere. I think inherently it's of interest to all of us alive today, but it's recently become more urgently so insofar as President Bush has revived a nuclear plant processing, spent fuel processing plant idea that was canceled by President Jimmy Carter. And in fact, 2 sites in Illinois are being considered for these plants that will be producing plutonium. And those of you who don't know about just how potent plutonium is, you will get a sense from this film. That program is called the Global Nuclear Energy Partnership in Illinois. So please be thinking very much about our own site as you watch this film. I was just reminded today of Carol Gallagher's extraordinary photo essay called American Ground Zero, in which she went actually mostly to Nevada to make a beautiful, to take beautiful portraits of American radiation survivors, of American nuclear testing on its own citizens in Nevada and the Northwest, actually all over the country. And I was reminded of the words of one Colonel Langdon Harrison, who was one of the pilots assigned to fly through the atomic clouds after U.S. atmospheric testing. this very deliberate program of exposure to test the potency, the effectiveness of America's nuclear bombs. And after a series of bouts of cancer, he said, there isn't anybody in the United States who isn't a downwinder. And those words come back to me because in some ways there isn't anyone in the world anymore, given how the winds travel and the waters travel, who isn't a downwinder. And on this visit, a number of us have learned from Ms. Kamanaka that she herself was exposed in 1998, filming the children in the Iraq War. This is Operation Desert Fox. For those of you who can reach back to those days, it was when President Clinton was being impeached, and kind of on the side, he decided to bomb Iraq. And she, Ms. Kamanaka, didn't realize what she was being exposed to at first. Black clouds and black smoke, but later realized that from British meteorological reports that uranium-238 had been detected in the skies over the British Isles that same day. And later she becomes ill and has a cancer to deal with. But I think it's important to know that she didn't know this when she started filming her Hibakusha project, that it's only at the very end that she's editing it that she's ill. And in some ways, it somehow seems so emblematic to me and so much changes my notion of Hibakusha as someone remote, far away in a different part of the world. But it really can be any of us. And so I hope you'll be thinking of that, of our own structural and in many ways very material relationship to radiation exposure today, both in warfare and in nuclear energy technology as it develops. Rokkashomura Rhapsody was made in the course of 2 years of visiting the site in northern Japan, and it was released in 2006 in Japan, and she'll tell us more afterwards about how it's being disseminated in Japan. So I welcome you all to sit back and enjoy this film, and we'll have a little panel discussion later, and you'll have your chance to ask questions, and then furthermore to interact more informally at the reception. So with that, let's start.
I saw it, I mean, it's lovely. It deals with the everyday. It's, there's so many things I could say about it, and it's really quite emotional. But what I'd like to talk about is being a political documentary. If we talk about political documentary, it takes many types of forms. It could be simply a document of a political action. It could also be where the subject matter is a contemporary social issue, where you bring a new set of associations to counter dominant assumptions and information. It could contain historical and political analysis to let an audience know that what happened today didn't just happen today, but has a far longer history. Political documentaries mostly counter the dominant media apparatus in that their methods of production, distribution, and exhibition are very different. Yeah. And the engagement, not just an observer, but what you might call a participant observer, a participant or advocate, activist. Ultimately, political documentaries ask the audience to not only think about something, an issue, in new ways, but demand an audience act. In light of kind of this very brief, insufficient, probably description of what I think of a political documentary, I was wondering if you could talk about your film as political documentary, because I know it didn't, you said it was a political.
In the Japanese society, if you thought that you're political, you die. Okay. So, it's so corny to talk about politics. So, you're out of the society. So, it was very difficult to bring up this issue in my film because no media talks about it. And you don't see any information about Rokkasho village in big newspaper and also TV media. And I made a film called Hibakusha at the End of the World before this film. And it was about also radioactive pollution, globally spreading all around the world. And then many media came and then featured my film in TV program and the journalistic newspapers.
It's footage.
And then I had screening for press. So I thought, oh, my film is dead from the beginning, so nobody would see my film. So then I heard now in Japan, it's called Tokyo Tower. The novel is very popular, a million seller. And editor was giving interview, and then he asked that how to make such a popular book, and he said, popular book does not exist, so you have to sell it. You have to really put your time and effort to sell it. Then it becomes a million seller. Okay, it's a good idea. I have to sell my film. Even main media doesn't read. So but from the beginning, when I started making this film, I thought I shouldn't talk about politically, because I made a brochure before this brochure you have now. Really anti-nuclear film, and nobody believed it, and it was very difficult. And but I tried to be objective, even though I knew radioactive is not so safe, and then I don't believe human being can control it 100%. But I wanted to bring this issue up to normal people, so I didn't want them to think I'm political. Even I'm treating this political issue. So I wanted to make this film really beautiful. Yeah, so I took this strategy that I feature everyday life, not only specific action, a political action towards this recycling of nuclear fuel issue. So I just featured man's, human beings, everyday life in Rokkasho village, and automatically, naturally, it concerns live with nuclear. And then.
But the personal is the political.
Yeah.
Even the dry cleaner, things you wouldn't even think about.
I'm living in Tokyo, and we are consuming such huge energy, and we don't see any waste, nuclear waste, and it all goes to Rokkasho. And 20 years ago, they are kind of front of facing this problem, and they had to choose. But for the cleaner, Ogasawara-san, when he graduated high school, it's already there, halfway of construction. And he was 20 years old, maybe 18 years old. He couldn't see anything, and he took over his parents' cleaning job when he was 22. And then to survive in such a rural area, and many outcomers come and to take his job out. He had to compete, and no way. I really understood. I opposed to contamination, but I couldn't say no. Why you take such high risk nuclear in your community? It's mine. How you can ask him this question? I realized when I really faced a promoter in village, and outside the Rokkasho village, mass media people say that they sold their spirit for money, and I found it's not. So this is my kind of realization from at the beginning when I started shooting.
It's beautiful.
it's political. Is that so?
Michael?
Well, it certainly deals with the question of responsibility and connectedness that you mentioned earlier. I guess the thing that struck me about the film is, first of all, its sense of humor. There are some wonderful edits that in which the following shot contradicts or questions something that has just been asserted in the previous shot. And you really strongly emphasize the connection between some of the people that you interview and the land. I mean, in a really classic way. If you think of Ogawa Shinsuke's documentaries, for example, that there is a history of recognizing that connection between peoples who protest pollution and their fundamental personal connection to the land. There's something I learned that I didn't realize before from this film, is that the people in Rokkasho had actually come back from failed colonial experiments in Manchuria, for example, and had developed the land themselves. So in a way, it's almost ironic that it's not ancient generations on this land, but actually a first or second generation that have built this territory. And then have to face the question of how to survive in this area. And of course, that question is a question that I think all of post-war Japan has had to face, especially in the peripheral areas because of the centralization of Japan and the way that the Japanese economy developed. And I really appreciated the way that, on the one hand, you really show how deeply people care about their embedded existence in the land, and at the same time recognize everybody has their motives, and everybody has to deal with the question of, well, if not this, then what? But one thing I did notice was most of the people opposing it seem to be female, and the people who seem to find a way to live with it seem to be male. Is that part of your general experience or something you put in the film?
Oh yeah, it's strange. Yeah. So I wrote in my brochure, 暮らしの根っこそこに核がある. So the rooted, if you rooted in everyday life, you find nuclear. So all Japanese relate to nuclear generation, generated power, but as if they don't know, or as if they not really connect to it. But it's there. And then you said that the women is more sensitive about it.
Or they show up as.
They show up, yeah. So this is kind of a sensitivity that you feel life, not only human beings' life, animals, and also a small creature, and also plants. You see where life comes from. We eat from nature, and if nature is polluted, we eat same time. And then I think women is more sensitive about their kids, what they eat, and where our life comes from. So if you see the roots to go further, and then you sense all their radioactive substances. Is it okay, really? Feeling.
But as a counterexample, I thought it was really nice you had the tomato farmer, who's a father too. He's another kind of father from them. So that was good too. And,
yeah, but in Japan, so you saw in my film everything counted on money. So exchangeable to money. So this kind of value sense has been grown. And we call this Americanized. Sorry. But so I'm showing this film at the theater, and also I ask people to organize their own screening in local area. We had many theaters, small theaters all around, but it's disappeared almost. Then I ask people to organize their own screening. And already 150 groups all around Japan organized screenings, and I asked them not only watch, you have to talk about it, and then after screening they have this kind of conference, and they talk, and then after they start doing something. taking action.
Political documentary.
But it's not like action from same from previous period. They don't just gather and say no, no, no. So they think about how to live individually, how to reduce energy to use, and also they start thinking what we eat. And also many young people started visiting Rokkasho and actually meeting people. And today is Earth Day, and Earth Day going to be held in Rokkasho for first time this year by these young people and inviting. And also now so many young people started creating a newspaper to talk about Rokkasho, and then so they deliver all houses in Japan. They do it. They plan to do it on June 22nd.
Why June 22nd?
Geshi?
Oh, the summer solstice.
And have candle night.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have candle night and then deliver this special newspaper to all houses.
They're not going to be arrested for delivering paper like some people have for protesting Iraq.
And also I brought beautiful card set, and the 3 young women who saw this film, they didn't know each other, and they met by watching my film, and they created a 6 card set message about Rokkasho, and one person sent 6 cards, and one gets this, and then the 6 person, and 6 person, and the 300 yen for one set, and they sold already 5,000. And in internet, we have a internet community, and I have a community. Let's see, Rokkashomura Rhapsody community, and core people write about how they organize their own screening and what was it, and then it's increasing. And kind of a new style of movement started. Yeah. Okay. So
you had your hand up before this started.
I'm the Midwest coordinator for Nuclear Policy Research Center Institute, which is very concerned about the 14 nuclear plants that we have in Illinois. As you know, that's more nuclear plants than any other state in the Union and all but 5 countries in the world. And I came tonight to see, and I'm also an alum, and I came tonight to see your wonderful movie, and it was so beautiful. And to hear just what you were saying about the power of a political documentary and what we can do here to, I would like to make a documentary about the situation in Illinois and this, when they want to build a Clinton and they want this new kind of breeder reactor and all the plutonium issues and so on, and see if through the use of a film like your own, we could have that effect of people doing their own. As you say, it's a different kind of response. It's both individual and organized, and all of these wonderful, these important things are coming about because of the power of your film. And so I just, as you say, a lot of it, at some level, it depends on money, of how you gather the support for your film and what we could learn to how to do it in Illinois.
Okay, because I made a previous film called Hibakusha, and that film show had organized screening 350 places. Yeah, independent film screening. But when it happened, it was just a dot on the map. They are not connected. They're just independently interested in having screening, no action.
How did you get the funding, first of all, to make the movie? How did you organize to make
Debt. I have no money, but I didn't have time also. I couldn't wait to raise money. And I asked my producer, I'd like to make this film. And he said, you should make it. Because we've been working for maybe 20 years from the beginning, and he said that you will not buy NHK, which is a national TV broadcast in Japan. So they really forced me to have a style of NHK. And I really was not tired of it. And you should make your own film now. Otherwise, you can't go further. So I allow you to make. And then he raised money, 800万円.
$8,000.
Sorry,
80.
So the producer raised the money.
But it wasn't enough. So I went to Iraq and United States and come back to Japan and yeah. So then I finished. I used more, maybe twice. But he said, you can make failure. But it was successful. Then I could earn money more than I
Then
used.
you could build it.
Then I asked the people to donate money to make this film because I didn't want to have a sponsor. Because I can't be
Dependent.
So then they pay $1,000 to borrow my film, each screening. So then I think I almost recover.
And quickly, I mean, while she was making this film, she made videotapes of the footage she had. And then she would sell that for very nominal sums.
It's a video letter.
So it was a video letter, and if you want to see part 2, you buy this and send more. So she was.
It was a process of making my film.
Yeah. So she's been she's tried various tactics to get this off the ground.
So partially. So each 3 months, I showed what I shot to a promoter, an opponent also. So they communicated by my video. Oh, they are thinking like that. They are thinking like that. Then after I went to ask something, they really answer based on my video letter. So they used
So there was money around the video letter.
Yeah. So
And the title of the game said Supporting Cultural Affairs Agency. What was that all about?
You know, Japan is famous that each ministry has no communication each other. So if economy and industry, if they know, they stop it, and they're really angry about it after. Because my proposal, they exam, maybe many proposals came to Ministry of Culture, and I wrote that I'm going to make a film because ordinary people don't understand scientific technology, especially nuclear. So extreme, two different opinion always, and people confusing. So if they see my film, they really understand the basic knowledge of nuclear issue. So then I passed the documents, and then after I completed the film, people from ministry had to see and then give me stamp to get money really. So and then they came to watch my film. And they're really surprised. Oh, this is only one really treating social issue among we are giving money. Those filming we are giving money, and they liked it as film. This is wonderful film, they said. So,
but now that she didn't get the money in advance,
right.
they approved it for her to go ahead with it, and she had to show them the finished project before the product.
And because the energy ministry doesn't talk to the cultural ministry.
I think, but now it's controversial because there was a environmental film festival in Japan last month, and then 2 years ago I had a grand prize, and then I wanted to put this film into this film festival, but
The officials?
The officials from Ministry of not culture, no, something.
Economic, industry, and
Called up, and then asked that the committee not allow my film to get in.
So they found out about it.
But the committee is so bad. They said yes, okay,
That's true too.
and called me up. We got pressure. This kind of pressure. We can't admit you.
When people from the Cultural Affairs Agency, were those government officials, or were they scholars and people that on one of their million committees they have? Were they yakunin, or were they just ordinary people who were distinguished intellectuals or writers or whatever who saw the movie and approved of it? And the government paid for it, but didn't even know that they were paid for it. Because I had that when I translated a book that was destroyed. It was all against the Ministry of Education, and they paid for it, and they didn't even know they were paying for it. That's what made me wonder about that.
Yeah, they don't know. They didn't know. Yeah, because no communication between. This is famous.
文化庁の中では。
文化庁の
その審査した役人は役人なのかそれとも有識者なのか。
I think so. He has been working in the film center for a long time, and then he moved from film center to cultural ministry. So then he really likes film. So he has eyes of evaluate film. That's why. Not just a
Bureaucrat.
yeah, bureaucrat.
And afterwards,
No. He's there. Yeah, you. Oh, no, in front.
I was wondering how you chose the individuals that you featured their interviews the most inside your documentary. And I was wondering how you met them, how you chose to include them as like the kind of they're sort of the central. They're the things they say about their experience of the land and of living in the area are really the central focus of the sort of convincing and persuasive factors of your film. And so I'm wondering how you came to know them and how you chose them, and if you had to choose between several different, or if you just stayed with those particular people throughout.
I had to spend 1 year to get to know people, and I called many businessmen in Rokkashomura, and then they said kind of in a sophisticated way, no. But opposition people are really frank and honest and willing to be in my film. But the problem was promoter. So then they saw my first video letter, and then because that was my strategy, that I wanted to really show what I'm shooting, and they don't believe in media people. You know, media people always showing opposition, and then but villagers know 99% is promoter, and media always show only opposition. So but they saw my video letter, and in my video letter, interview is always so long, and not cut word by word, and really explain about background. And then I asked again and again, and after they saw my first video letter, they said that, okay, you are making anti-nuclear film. No, I don't want to make such film, but I cannot make kind of eco-balanced film because you don't accept my interview. So you really agree people in my video saying no. If it's no, why you don't speak out? So, yeah, but not everybody, only few you saw in my film accepted my request. So, and they didn't get anything by appearing in my film. I think they lost some.
Really?
I really liked the woman who talked to her residents. That was really special.
And so she, after I started showing this film, many people called her and refused to buy, and she lost 150万円. $15,000 income
by being in your film.
Yeah. And I said, I'm sorry. And she said, no, not your fault. And I don't want the people to eat contaminated rice. But let's do this. She got the idea to ask a prefecture office to put the number of radiation level. Now we are doing this. This is a Brogmits company project. So we sign many. Please put the number of radiation count on rice, and then you really see if it's dangerous or not. And the Nihon Genne is saying we do nothing, so you have to support it too. So we are doing this action all around Japan, and then again new people started buying rice, and at the screening make a rice bowl rice, and audience can get one small rice bowl from yeah.
Because she's still in business. She's still running.
Yeah.
I'm very shocked actually by the comment by Professor Madarame in the film, and I just wonder because to make I think you can I'm not sure, but you could find the person or the professor or engineer who might be able to explain the technology of nuclear or more kind of serious or more explain in a more nicer way. Then why you?
I think so. Yeah, I proposed more than 10 scientists in Japan, and then except him, nobody accepted except one. So I got two scientists who said yes, and the first one, very nice person and kind of gentleman, and he said, "Oh, this is my responsibility to answer your interview." He belongs to Association of Recycling Fuel, and then public relationship person of this association said no. And then I called Madarame because he belongs a committee of morality of scientists. So I called him, and I'm making this film, and nuclear scientists, so many nuclear scientists, even your colleague, refused my proposal. And okay, so then I do, he said. And that's wonderful. And 2 hours continuous interview. And at the beginning he said, you live in such a convenient society, then if you require safety, too much. He said. Yeah, he said so many incredible things. And then okay. Okay, is it okay? But I invited one of biggest electricity company, a person who charges nuclear, and he came to see this film, and I asked how was it, and he said Madarame was bad. But do you have any recommendation? And he said the first person that I chose, and who said yes, but stopped. And I explained what happened, and he made big sigh. Yeah. So another question. Anybody? No?
Last question?
Yeah.
You never said whether or not you tried to get into the plant itself to see it. I assume that they weren't going to let you in, but I don't think it was really, maybe everybody else got it, but I didn't get it.
Pardon? Oh, you mean factory?
The process.
After September 11, nobody can enter media. But so I could go into the control room, and after me, several journalists went into control room to advertise that factory, facilities. But I asked many times, even interviewed to president of Nihon, and they refused because I'm not a member of press club. And president having monthly press conference. Then I called press club. Oh, please, only one time is all right. Allow me to attend this press conference. And they said, are you going to shoot? We are associated. How to say it?
The relationship that actually the press club and Nihon Genden, the owners of that company, were actually very close. So the press club was worried that she would disclose the closeness between the media and the power company.
Because public relation people too always every day visit this press club and hi and hi and hi. This is our information, and see you tomorrow. And I told them that I never shoot you. I like to interview the president. That's it. Please, only one time. I don't bother you. And then they said yes. And I hung up the telephone. And after 2 minutes or 3 minutes, Nihon Genden called me up. They allowed you, I know, but I don't allow you.
So Nihon Genden controls the press club.
Yeah. So then, but each screening I explained because this is not my intention that Nihon Genden not appear in my film. This is their intention, so I need to explain. And also now, so I get many media covers because so many troubles hidden during since 20 years started appearing, and it is controversial. Scandals. And then so many media people started interviewing or talking about this film. Then I always talk about, Nihon Genden was so how to say close-minded that not accepted my request.
I guess we should continue reception. Thank you all. Oh, yeah, one question here. Sorry.
Sorry. Just a question, like when we talk about suffering protest and as a social movement, and it happened in Taiwan too. Like it would bring a lot of reaction all over the country. But the local people in this film and also in Taiwan are powerless. In the end, they're still the loser because they have to accept the fact the factory is still there. So how do you find like, is your film really helping the local people, or is it more of a?
So I think maybe it's not so easy to stop. How to say that the factory to start. But before then, I think we need to discuss. And I think in Japan, less than 1% people know this knowledge. What's going on? What does it mean for us? So I'm asking people that. So let people know about this issue as much as they can. So then we can get the moratorium. I think
moratorium.
I think at least 10% of the whole population should know.
But that's happened, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking. I said to come up before. I was thinking about seeing this film again. Like, why can't we form a human chain in August before they start full? We know what's going to happen enough. Why can't we do something? She said, well, the full operation start date has been delayed till December now. And maybe it'll be delayed again till April.
We do have precedent, certainly in this country, if not all over the world, for stopping nuclear plants, for stopping these factories from being built. See it even during Vietnam, going to these war munitions factories, people forming these human chains and doing things to stop them. So it's not hopeless.
Yeah, it's a
about
very
action,
big
as you
chance
said.
it's coming up because earthquake happened starting now. So and the last big earthquake happened in area and where nuclear power plant there, and but by accident, by this scandal, it was stopping. It was not working, and then also people sue in court, and they won to stop it. That's why two nuclear power plant was not working, and that earthquake was stronger than.
The earthquake was stronger than what the two nuclear power
Yeah.
plants in the vicinity were built to withstand.
Yeah.
So thank goodness they weren't in operation when the earthquake took place. And just remember that there are earthquakes all over Japan, all the time.
And it's starting now. And yesterday in Okinawa, there was a small earthquake.
So before they decide to build it there, do they do actually research it?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that would be a big obstacle, wouldn't it, if you did an honest study of the feasibility?
Yeah, but I think information wasn't really released enough, and then I think people started getting the basic knowledge about what we are doing on this stuff, and then I think maybe we really need time to let people aware. So it's really starting, and in many ways, you got this CD, and many musicians.
You were even saying that the requirements for these plants are minimal compared to the requirements in the United States. So,
Politically, June is just your point about the political.
Yeah, but I think knowledge is very important, and young people, so many young people saw this film, and they said to me that, oh, I didn't know. Why we didn't know? We should know it. Then they just started to think, what does it mean? I didn't give them answer, and they have to think them by themselves, and then they are acting in so many various ways.
Including really challenging the convenient, prosperous way of life. Right?
I think it's time. Yeah, maybe a small change, but it's starting.
Well, I have to say, when I saw Kamanaka-san this morning, she says, staying here in the U.S. in these luxurious surroundings, I feel that everything I do in this apartment is part of my criminality towards the third world in terms of the energy consumption of every modest gesture. And
yeah, so if people who is living in Tokyo, if they can change their lifestyle, it's really changes all energy consumption in Japan.
you could stop drinking bottled water.
Yeah. It's much advanced in Japan, I think. We start reusing. Yeah. But I like to say something that people think that we are powerless, and if you think that we cannot change anything, it's not true.